Hello, welcome back to the Greenhorn Photo Taker. We're inside the studio today to talk about an upcoming photography trip. So faithful watchers might remember from last year, I took a few days into Death Valley in the Alabama hills. Honestly, it was an amazing 5 days, and I think about that trip all the time, and I want to do that again. And luckily, my wonderful wife, thank you, Stacy, on the couch the other day, just suggested, hey, Lou, why don't you take another one of those trips? So here we are, and I wanted to accomplish two things. One, go through where I chose to try to take some wonderful photography and why I chose it, and then put some finishing touches on it. This is a type of trip I've never really taken before, so it's a mix of nervous excitement for sure, but there is this underlying set of worry that is in the back of my mind. And sometimes when I put my thoughts to video, it's a little cathartic and helps me work through those nerves. So without further ado, let's talk about the upcoming trip to Capitol Reef National Park. So why Capitol Reef? Well, there are two things that really struck me as the most important when it comes to my enjoyment on a photography trip like this. First and foremost, it has to be an expansive, wondrous view. If I'm going to spend money on a trip, I want to be able to take out the wide-angle lens at times and really see something awesome, inspiring, something, I hate to use the word, but something epic. That's what Alabama Hills had last year. That Sierra Nevada mountain range from the view of Alabama Hills was just incredible. Snow-capped peaks, a valley with these 14,000 foot peaks just protruding up out of them like it's a sheer wall. Obviously not a sheer wall, but from a distance, that's what it looks like. So I want to be able to see something of that ilk on this trip. Secondly, I felt like I had Alabama Hills to myself. There are definitely other people there, but the place is huge, and I never encountered anyone to even talk to at any of the locations I went in the hills. I saw folks from a distance, but was never within thousands of yards away from the next closest person, and sometimes miles away. And that was invigorating to have this immaculate and immense place to myself, it felt like. So those are the two things I wanted to recreate. And then in researching for this upcoming trip, I kind of realized those places are few and far between. So that's what I wanted to try and recreate, which is not easy if you think about it. The national park visitation season is starting up now. The weather's getting warmer around the country. There will be hundreds of thousands of visitors to park soon. So I had to find a park that, one, was probably a little bit less popular, and two, probably had some options off the beaten path, and that's where Capitol Reef came in. Initially, I wanted to go to Canyonlands, but then got to thinking that, one, I'd already been there, but two, most of the places I could take those amazing shots with in Canyonlands were viewpoints that will absolutely be mobbed by others. I could go down into the canyon, but that would require true technical off-roading skills, which I just don't think I have. So I had to wipe that off the list. I almost went back to Death Valley. I thought of Grand Tetons. I thought of Zion and Bryce Canyon, but all of those had the same issues of too many people for what I wanted on my experience. Then I watched a video about Capitol Reef National Park that just mesmerized me, and that led me to Cathedral Valley. This is an off the beaten path option for sure. It's a 60-mile dirt road with no service, no amenities, middle of the desert, but with these huge, I'll call them monoliths, just protruding out of the desert floor. And it immediately captured my eye. So I want to try to incorporate that 60-mile trip into that journey. And then they also have something called a Loop the Fold drive, which is even longer. It's 124 miles, but maybe 40 of those miles or so are on pavement, if I recall. So let's say 80 miles on dirt roads again, which is also an incredible drive, but four-wheel drive, off the beaten path, rocky. There's some switchbacks that go up 1,000 feet with no guardrails type of thing. So I have hesitations with all that. And this is just my long-winded way to say Capitol Reef ticked those two boxes. I could be in isolation to do my thing that I enjoy so much. From what I understand, most people simply drive west to east through Route 24, which cuts right through Capitol Reef. Capitol Reef is like a really long park and not very wide. So this you can do, easily in an afternoon, and then maybe hit some highlights within the visitor center area. So what I need to do is that first drive, let's call it the Loop the Fold. I don't know what order I'll do it in, but let's say Loop the Fold is first for our purposes. I know it starts in Boulder, and then I have to find the bird trail. So that's exactly what we'll do, is down this bird trail. This should be, okay, so this part of the bird trail is paved. Let's keep on going until we get to something interesting. Overlook number 2, here we go. Let's see if this section is paved. Well, that's good. Look at that. So overall, this is like 6 to 8 hours on this. Okay, here's where the dirt starts, somewhere around there, where there's some places to hike, definitely some places to, here are the switchbacks. I can't, this is what inspired me to take this route. Let's see what we have here. Actually, let me look just online, the Bird Trail switchbacks. Yes, here we go. This is the route you have to climb down 1,000 feet on a dirt road. So like already, I can feel it. My hands are sweating. But wouldn't that be incredible to do? This looks worse than it is, for sure, right? Here's a more realistic picture of the switchbacks, right? But this image just stands out in my mind as insanity. So that's what we'll tackle on the Bird Trail switchbacks. And then one of the hikes I want to do, it's not a long hike, and if the road is open, I'll even drive it. Let's just type it in. Strike Valley. So this road, I read, can be very difficult on cars. My dog agrees. Okay, they don't have this one on, so here's the road you have to take. So if it's wet at all, I will not drive this section of the road. Actually, if it's raining at all, I'm not going to enter the park on any of these dirt roads. Even looking at this, like I don't want to get stuck. So I'll have to play this by ear. Some people walk the 6 mile out and back. I will attempt to drive it and then just end up at this trailhead for Strike Valley Overlook. And this is maybe 0.6 or 0.5 miles out to the overlook. But I hope they have a shot. Nope, they don't have it here. Let me put in the view that I'm going to see. Strike Valley Overlook. And this is looking down at the fold itself. So let's look at this one. Yeah, look at that. How is that possible? So this is the fold in the earth, with these jagged outcroppings to the left, the valley view here, and not jagged, but the land rising out from the other side. Like that to me is just incredible, and I can't wait to see that. That looks so darn cool. And the way back, right? It's hard to see the road here, but here's Strike Valley. I'm gonna drive through this and then come up this road right here. So even that, like, to me, just sounds so incredible to be able to see that as I drive through. So the issues here are, I'm gonna rent a Jeep, and I'll get into that for a minute, why I need a Jeep. And Jeeps don't have a lot of gas mileage, right? Let's say 15 miles, maybe 18 miles on the highway. Over land like this, it's gonna get down to 10 to 12 miles per gallon. And this is a 125 mile trail. So you figure, let's see, I didn't do this math. Jeep Wrangler gas tank size. So let's say it's about 18 gallons, 18 to 20 gallons. Let's do the math. 18 to 20 gallons, if I'm getting, 180 to 220 miles per gallon. And this is a 124 mile trip. So that's cutting it away, that's cutting it way too close. There's no room for error. I cannot run out of gas in the middle of this desert. The MPS website plainly states, like, if you get into trouble, you need to be able to self-rescue. Help may not arrive for hours or even days. So do I need to purchase a gas can, which I will not bring back with me, obviously, on the plane, and have an extra fuel tank out there? I think I can get away without doing it, and this is where I want some feedback. Like right now, it's difficult for me to check the opening times for a lot of these places because it's still pre-season, and a lot of places are closed or their normal spring hours aren't posted yet. So what I'm hoping to be able to do is a gas station in Boulder. That's 88 miles. So I should be able to have a half a tank of gas left in order for me to make that trip. I guess I have to buy a gas tank. It seems crazy to just risk it. Anyway, give me your thoughts on that. Do I need to buy a gas tank and have extra fuel to take this 88 mile trip through the desert? I don't know if I'm overreacting or underreacting. I just know that I don't want to run out of fuel. I would think the really difficult terrain is from here to here, and then up to Strike Valley in here. This road is partially paved. And I would expect a little bit more people on that part of the road too, because it heads down to Glen Canyon National Recreation Area. So that's problem number one that I wanted to throw out there. Do I get a gas tank? The next problem is even more interesting to me, because in order to take let's turn layers back on, the Cathedral Valley Loop, let me show you what Cathedral Valley is first. Like, can you imagine? Do you imagine seeing this maybe at sunset? Like, that is just inspiring to me. I would well up when I see this for sure. But here's a good map of it. I'm glad this came up. So here's 24 again. I have to, the most common route that you should take is this road here. And this is about 60 miles all the way around. The west side needs 4-wheel drive high clearance. The east side, on a good day, you can get away with 2-wheel drive high clearance. So this road is a little bit more maintained and graded than this road, which is more bumpy. But again, I'm gonna have a Jeep, so I'm not worried about that aspect of it. What I am worried about is the river ford down here. So let's zoom in on that, because I'm not sure what to say about this. And I know for people who have done this before, I know I'm overreacting, but it's just I've never done anything like this. You will notice the Cathedral Road has a river over here. And to get from Route 24 to Cathedral Road, you have to cross the river. There is no bridge. And it requires, there must be a picture here. Let's see. Yes. Okay. So I have to enter the river here, drive about 100 feet, and exit the river over here. I've never done that. I have no idea how to do that. But the good news is it's right at the beginning, right? You could take that loop in the opposite direction and then finish with the river, but obviously that would be insane, because if it's too high to cross, then you're stuck here, and you'd have to go all the way back around, which would take another, half day, 3/4 of a day to get there. So I have to ford the river. Right now it's 13 inches high, according to NPS. I mean, come on. Look at this picture. That is the road, and that's what I'll drive through. Isn't that intensely beautiful? Like, I cannot wait. I cannot wait to see this. As of the first was 13 inches deep. And that, they say, is low enough that you would technically only need a 2-wheel drive car as long as it's high clearance. Now, I've spent hours talking with Gemini and ChatGPT, well within a Jeep's capability. Like, most Jeeps can be rated up to 30 inches of water before you get into some engine trouble. So I feel pretty good with that as long as it stays around this level. The long-range forecast does not have a lot of rain in it, a couple of snow showers, a couple of rain showers. So the real issue would be the snow melt and high peaks around that. And it's not a great snow season out west. But if there are some really intensely warm days right before I arrive, and preceding that there wasn't a lot of warmth to melt the entire snowpack, then that could really increase the levels of the stream. And then it would force me not to be able to do this route. I will definitely check in with the visitor center to make sure that they think it's safe. All right, so 2 requests, if you have any of this knowledge. 1, any tips on crossing a river? So what I know so far, 2 to 4 miles an hour. Do not try to gun your car or Jeep across the river, and make it an S-turn. So enter the river, drive alongside the river, and then exit the river. Do not try to enter the river and then diagonally make it to the exit point, right? Make sure you make it an S. And then the second one is, what happens in an emergency and what do I need to pack? I mean, there's so many lists out there, of course. And this phone has satellite capabilities for 911 if I do need to reach authorities if some emergency occurs. So I'm not going to buy a dedicated Garmin to text to anyone, because I just don't see why I need that for one trip and an annual subscription that I'll never really use. So my satellite capability on the Pixel should work. Of course, headlamp. I'll have plenty of water, plenty of food in the car for a couple of days, just because that's where I'm going to store most of my food anyway from the road trip. In the car, all non-perishable type stuff. On the way in to Capitol Reef, I will go grocery shopping. I'll have a space blanket. I'll have a first aid kit. I will dress warmly, have that in the car as well. I plan to do, if there's time, some astrophotography at night. Desert is cold, so I already have hats and gloves and heavier coats of that nature. So that's the plan. I'm really excited. So here we go. Cannot wait to get out there. If you've crossed a river, give me some tips. Any advice otherwise, give me some tips. And if you've been to Capitol Reef, also give me some tips. Thank you very much for watching. Get out and explore.